Kia ora, everyone. Welcome to today's Construction Careers Super Fair. My name is Taylor and I work here at Fossil and will be hosting today's Top 100 Construction Employers panel session. In this session, I am excited to be joined by and hearing from James, the cost manager at Beca, and also Antonio, the recruitment lead for infrastructure projects at Downer. Both will be discussing everything you need to know about finding and applying for jobs as a construction student in Aotearoa. I've prepared a few questions for the panelists, but it's also worth mentioning that if any of you students have any questions that you'd like to ask, either James or Antonio, fire away in the chat, use the chat feature or the Q&A, and we'll dedicate a bit of time towards the end to answer those questions as well. In saying that, without further ado, I'll hand over to Antonio first. If you want to introduce yourself and a little bit about what Downer does.
Yeah, good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. Thanks, Taylor. I'm Antonio. I've been at Downer for nearly 6 months now. My role is the team lead for the infrastructure projects group. We support a number of projects across Australia at the moment within WA, New South Wales, Queensland, Victoria. If many of you are not familiar with Downer, so Downer is we do a lot of design, builds and asset services within Australia and New Zealand. It's a company rich in history, so we've been operating within Australia and New Zealand for over 150 years. So I'm sure that a few of you would have seen a lot of the Downer signs around. We've got over 50,000 employees working on over 300 sites nationally at the moment. We work in a number of vertical markets, anything from transport, utilities, facilities, asset services, defence, and also we just acquired a company called Spotless, so doing a lot of work within that hospitality space as well at the moment. Yeah, so that's a bit about me and Downer. Cheers,
mate. Great intro. James, yourself, mate.
Awesome. Cheers, Antonio, and thanks, Taylor. So, hey guys, my name's James Hamilton. I work at Beca as a cost manager and quantity surveyor. I've been in the role, been working at Beca for just over 6 years. So started when I was at high school. Bit about myself as well. Love the outdoors, hunting, tramping, everything outdoorsy. So at Beca, we have over 3,500 employees and over 3,000 in New Zealand alone. We provide lead consulting services, and Beca is one of the largest independent advisory, design and engineering consultancies around. So very excited, very excited to be working for them. So that's a bit about me and Beca.
Awesome. Cheers, James. Nicely said, mate. Right, to kick off with the first question I've prepared, I'll throw this one to Antonio. So firstly, mate, what is the most important piece of advice you'd give to students aspiring to work for an organisation in this sector?
So thanks, Taylor, for the question. So there's a number of pieces of advice I would offer everyone, but the main one that really sticks out for me is definitely doing your research and preparation. So for any organisation that you apply for a position for, we've got so much information at our disposal. So going onto the company website, doing your due diligence on the company, really researching what the company does. Also going onto LinkedIn, get a feel for the people that work for the company, what they're doing as well. And yeah, just making sure that you've got a good understanding of what the type of work the company are doing as well, because if you're going through an interview process, you want to make sure that the type of work that they're doing is aligned with where your career aspirations are going. So that would probably be my key piece of advice to everyone.
Solid. How about you, James? What's your most important piece of advice?
Yeah, no, that was good advice as well. And probably further on is just understanding the company as well, understanding their aspirations. It's always quite good to understand what the company do, what they've worked on, and do you want to work there as well? You can following the LinkedIn pages, the company internet page, and just get an understanding of, is this something I'm interested in? And I guess we're here to tell you a bit more, but yeah, you can definitely learn a lot from those resources, I guess. So very good.
Yeah, 100% research is always key.
It is, yeah.
Perfect. Oh, both of you, great answers. And I might throw this one back to you again, James. What is your organisation looking for in an application, and what do students need to show to progress through to that next round?
So, I guess what we look for personally here at Beca is their commitment. Commitment's a large of what we're looking for. So the same here we got in New Zealand is do the mahi, get the treats. So that's kind of, you do the work, you get the treats. So we look for people who, work hard, but also, give back to others. So, which is quite good, and also trust them being honest. To progress further, if you get a good understanding of others' perspective, of trust, understanding, you can definitely progress in your future, and to the next round, I guess. So.
Cheers, mate. Again, great advice. Antonio, what would you like to add to that?
Yeah, thanks, James. Yeah, just to follow on from what James has mentioned as well. I mean, if you're going through the initial application process, we obviously do a bit of a screening. So we have a look for your resume, get a feel for your background, your academic results as well, which are important. So making sure that you're doing the very best that you can at university and getting the best scores as possible. Also looking at any sort of industry experience or relevant experience as well. So it's also important to do some work experience in areas that will help you develop. So something that's maybe teamwork related, because many organizations that you go and work for, there's a lot of collaboration required. So working with different team members is important. So that's something that we really look for as well. And then any other sort of extracurricular activities that you're doing at university. I know a lot of the universities have societies, they get involved in a lot of different industry events as well. So if you're an active member of those type of societies, that's something that's quite useful to have as well. And yeah, obviously once you go through the screening and the application process and you're invited in for a more formal interview, there's not only one thing that we look for. We look at communication skills, we look at enthusiasm, we look at passion. You've researched a company, so there's many different things that we kind of constitute before we make a decision. But I think the main thing that we want people to be is be authentic, be yourself, and really portray what you can bring and deliver to the organization as well. So it's a very competitive market, the grad space at the moment. James probably can confirm this as well. I mean, we get over thousands of applications for grad roles nationally at the moment. Every region has over 400 or 500 applications each. So trying to make sure that you do stand out whatever part of the process is quite important as well. So yeah, just bringing something quite unique to the table is probably another piece of advice that I would share as well.
Yeah, and yeah, probably, sorry, just following on, is also kind of what you do outside of work, because we're kind of interested in, yes, you do well at your studies, that's awesome, but we also want to know what you get up to outside, and how you lead outside of in the environment, so which is quite cool.
Yeah, and another question that I generally get from students as well is that, does it have to be relevant to the sector that you want to go in? Obviously, if you can get relevant experience in engineering or construction, that's a bonus. But even if you did a job, for example, in retail, for me, that just shows that you can work in a team. You've got good customer service skills as well, good communication skills as well. So I think whatever job that you're doing outside of university can be applicable, can be related into the grad role that you go into. Just taking out the good elements and the experience from that position, you can definitely carry over.
So true. Yeah, cheers, mate. That's good.
Yeah.
I got a few questions coming in from the students as well. So I might switch it up and ask one of the questions from the students. Shout out to Sharon for a couple good questions in the chat. But I might ask the one from Nicolee first. I'll ask you, James, since you've sort of been a graduate, been through the process a bit. In terms of graduate support, or graduate programs do you have anything in place there at Beca?
Yeah, we do. So we've got a intern program. So the intern program is focused at while you're studying. So for example, over the study period break, we'd have a look at getting interns in, getting a feel of the industry, and getting, also while getting paid and working on projects. But yeah, that's what we kind of start off with while studying. And then the intern program, once you finish studying, becomes, well, you start off through a graduate program. And the graduate program you apply for like any other job, and it can be found on our website. And it outlines, what locations we're looking for. It could be engineering, structural, project management, just anything. So yeah, I guess while you're studying, we offer an internship, and when you finish, we offer a graduate program.
There you go, guys. Head over to Beca. Antonio, how about Downer?
Yeah, so we do a similar thing. So we're doing internships, traineeships, cadetships as well. And I think they're very, very good opportunities for individuals to get a stepping stone into an organization. Like James said, you get that combination of doing some work experience, but also carrying out your studies as well. And it's a good opportunity for you to really learn about some of your strengths as well, because I think once you're entrenched in a company or you're familiar with the company, you get to know different areas that you want to go down. Even though you might be studying, civil engineering, for example, you might go into an organization, decide, hey, I want to do more project management work or commercial type work as well. So, and that's really sort of important once you get to the point of qualifying and finishing off your degree. You've got a bit more of insight exactly which direction and route you want to go down. There are individuals that do join organizations in an internship in one role and then eventually do a different graduate role. So I would say as well, don't be afraid. If you do take on an initial role, you might not have got it right the first time. You can always change. And, companies like Beca and Downer, very flexible. They have so many different areas for students to go and work in. It gives you an opportunity just to maybe branch off into something else. If you're passionate about something else, follow your passion, and the opportunities I'm sure would be there for you.
Awesome. Cheers, mate. And got another good one here from Sharon C. Gave you the shout out before. I'll answer or ask one of your questions now. A bit of an interesting one, actually. I might ask you this first, Antonio. Do you have any advice on sort of how to maintain a stable career in a changing construction industry?
Oh, it's a very good question. Maintain a stable career. God, I mean, we're going through a very unique time at the moment with COVID. It's impacting every sector at the moment. I mean, in my previous role, what kept me going, I was there for over 6 years. And I think what really kept me there is just making sure that I was always doing an interesting project. I was really enjoying the work that I was doing. So making sure that, you're finding and doing a role that you enjoy, because I think that really helps the longevity side of things. If you're doing a role that you don't enjoy, you find it boring, it's not stimulating enough, then you're always going to be looking for something new. So trying to really talk to your manager and really understand if the role that you're doing is not really what you expected, having that conversation with your manager and trying to work out, okay, can you be doing anything else to really, motivate you and keep you engaged with the business? Because I know businesses are really keen to work with individuals if they're not finding a job interesting. And I think if a company can offer you different opportunities constantly, then you will find that you will stay with that organization a long period of time. Someone like James, for example, he's been with Beca for over 6 years, and obviously he's been given different opportunities to keep him motivated. And, in the past, I've found that as well. The more opportunities that are presented to me, I think the longer I've stayed with companies. So that would probably be my advice.
Yeah, nice, mate. Love that. James, anything to add to that?
Yeah, I guess, developing is probably a big one. So the world's changing, and we've got to learn how to develop. And obviously, developing your career can be quite hard. So, whether it be, a software that's now taken over, or it's now new engineering standards, right? You know, an engineer 10 years ago compared to now is much more advanced engineering. So to maintain a stable career, I guess, is, you know, you got to learn and adapt. So yeah, that's it from me.
Awesome. Yeah, good advice, mate. Right, I might go back to one of the questions I prepared earlier. Antonio, for students who do land a job with you, what advice would you give them to survive and thrive in their first year, and what should they avoid doing?
The advice that I would provide is ask a lot of questions, really be inquisitive as well. You know, don't be, I think I touched on this before as well, don't be afraid. You know, you're new to an organization, you don't know everything. So really be prepared to ask a lot of questions and understand what the company are doing, what the instructions are. And I would probably say as well, networking as well is really important when you go into an organization. Try and meet as many people as possible, you know, informally for a coffee for half an hour, and get to know why they joined the company, what's good about the company, and really educate yourself about the organization as well. I think staying well networked within the organization will really help you that side of things as well. So Tyler, can you just repeat the second part of the question?
What should they avoid doing in their first year, or what should they do?
Avoid doing. Oh, a good question. What avoid doing? I mean, first one sticks up. Don't be late for work. That's an important thing. You know, make sure you're on time. You know, make sure if you say you're going to do something, that you do it and you see it through. That's really important in this in our industry and in the work environment as well. Everyone's got different time pressures. Everyone has different deadlines, and if you're part of a project and you've got a delay or something that's not going to allow you to deliver that deliverable, make sure you communicate that effectively. Make sure you tell people in advance that there's going to be a delay with your piece of work. So good communication is really necessary as well. So what else would I say avoid doing? Nothing.
Tough question. Cool. Cheers, mate. James, you've obviously been at Beca for a while. What would you sort of advise, or for students who do land, what would you advise them to do in their first year to survive and avoid doing?
Make your own brand, I'd say. So it's a bit of a personal thing to me, is, you know, build up your own brand. You're working with a lot of people who've got a lot of experience. Taking on those opportunities can really help you develop your own personal brand. You know, it grows your career as well. So that's probably quite a big one for me. And I guess what shouldn't they do is not ask for help, always ask for help. That's, you know, this is what we're here for, I guess. This is how you develop your career. This is how, you know, you kind of grow, is by asking for help, whether it might be something, you know, something along the lines of something quite minimal, you know, just asking, hey, how do I find this, to, you know, asking some big questions and then saying, you know, how do I be you, for example, you know, what can I aspire? So I think, yeah, definitely making your own brand is definitely important and will help you survive not only your first year, but also for your career as well.
100%. Nice, mate. And I've got a question here from Mandy, just to circle back on the sort of internship opportunities that you both mentioned you provide. Are these open to both degrees and diplomas?
Yes. Short answer. Yeah.
Same here.
Perfect. And do you accept sort of international students as well, or what does that look like?
Yeah.
Sorry, James.
Yeah, perfect. Shut up, Mandy. There you go. Apply if you are looking for a role. Right, I might jump into a sort of final question. Worth noting, it's quite a few people in this session. So again, post some questions. I've seen quite a few good ones come through, but I'll dedicate a bit of time towards the end to answer a majority of them. So fire away in the chat. But but in one final word from both of you, in one sentence, James, I'll ask this one to you first, mate. In one sentence, why should students apply for Beca?
Why they should apply for Beca? We offer a range of opportunities and developments, and we also adapt to suit individuals' needs, and we also support their growing career.
Solid. Antonio?
See, there's a number of reasons to join Downer. I think the key thing for me is that as an individual, you need to align what your career aspirations are, and if they sort of marry up with what Downer can offer you, because Downer can offer the large scale projects, the vertical markets, the training and development for you. It's a company that really, thinks about the young generation and help fostering their career and helping to really, find your path. And I think if you feel that Downer has the right opportunities in terms of, the projects, whatever aspirations that you do have, I think Downer is the sort of company that can really sort of help you, definitely support you in your career journey in that respect.
There you go, guys.
And just another tip as well, I think it's also important to find out who your manager is as well. When you're going through that interview process, if you are interviewed by your manager, that's really important as well, because in your first career with an organization, that is the sort of person that's going to really equip you and give you a lot of good key guidance into your career. So if you're fortunate to know who your manager is first off, that would be a really, really important thing to know, and that will really assist you.
Yeah, solid. Awesome. I've got a question here from Nick Norris, the hard name to say. Shout out to you, mate. I'll ask this to you, James. Do you look for more people who have had experience over those who are new to the industry, or what does that look like?
Yeah, so starting your career, you're not going to have much experience, and it's very hard to gain that experience. And that's what kind of the internship kind of offers, is to gain that experience, to say, you've worked in that sector now. And when we do come to that process, we understand that, you're studying, you're not going to have 5 years experience in construction, right? You're most likely going to be part-time job while studying, and it's hard to maintain that. So we tend to focus on what you've done outside of studying as well. It's a big one, like leadership responsibilities, as well as maybe some construction experience, but not solely focused on your construction experience.
Nice.
Anything to add to that, Antonio?
Yeah, I would probably echo a lot of what James has said, but I would also say we take a number of different factors in. It's not just one thing that we decide when we're selecting candidates. So as I said before, it's really key to really, articulate so many different areas and a lot of your strengths that you can offer an organization. So really trying to bring that across is important.
Awesome. Cheers, mate. Got a bunch of questions coming in, struggling to sort of keep up here. There's one about commercial building. If I remember quickly, I've actually lost the specific. Oh, here we go. One from Josh Cross. And Tim, I might throw this one back to you, mate. How would you go about, or how would someone go about getting into the commercial building?
Sorry, who's that, Taylor?
To yourself. How would someone
to me,
go about?
sorry.
Yeah, no, good, mate.
Sorry.
How would someone go about getting into commercial building? If you know any sort of steps required to get into there.
The commercial building, terms within, to get into commercial building. I mean, if you're part of the business group within Downer that does commercial building, then obviously applying for a position within that group would be the best advice I would offer. And making sure that you're studying the relevant courses that will get you into the pathway into that area. Yeah.
Awesome. I've actually got a really good question from 92005243. James, I might ask this one to you, mate. What is the ratio of females to males entering your industry? are there any opportunities for females entering into the construction industry? And has there been any advantages to have females now entering into the construction industry?
That's a big question. Yes, so we have, so we've got a lot of different sections. So I work in the cost management side of things. We've got 60% are probably females and 40% males, but it's not, we're quite a diverse company, not just cultural and gender as well. So it's our a few of our high leaders are females. So our group, not CEO, one that sits down below the CEO, just underneath. She's a female and she's really good, interactive. It's just whatever opportunities, I guess, just being diverse and treating everyone equal. So
yeah, I mean, do you mind if I jump in, Taylor?
Go for it,
yeah.
man.
I mean, diversity inclusion is something I'm personally really passionate about as well, and it's something that's really, really important for every organisation within engineering and construction, particularly at Downer at the moment. We're doing a lot of work. Obviously, every company has targets, but I don't really like to focus too much on the targets. Really focus on about how we can encourage people from diverse backgrounds, gender, race, religion, whatever. I mean, the door is pretty much open to everyone. It's a free playing field for everyone. I think the more diverse the workforce is, the lot better it is. And Downer's a big, advocate of that. We're doing everything that we can to really bridge that gender gap. We work closely with universities, with high schools, with private organizations to really try and help us employ more people from different diverse backgrounds, from a disability or from an Indigenous background. Particularly with the female side of things, we're doing a lot of work with universities. We're trying to encourage a lot of females to do STEM topics, really trying to encourage them and tell them and give them an idea of what it's like to work in the construction and engineering space. I think the more we can educate people about what it's like to work in engineering and construction, the more people are keen to maybe explore an opportunity in there. But I can tell you from my experience, a lot of organizations have diversity and inclusion as front of mind. There's a lot of programs for females to work and help them develop, and different programs and cohorts for different individuals. So I would say around diversity and inclusion, I think most companies in this day and age are very open to everyone from whatever background. I mean, like me personally, I'm from the UK, originally born from Italy, moved to Australia 10, 11 years. I've never felt that my background has ever sort of hindered me in my career. I've always sort of just followed my passions and worked hard, and I think I think if every individual just kind of follows those kind of principles, I think they shouldn't let any barriers stop them from applying for any company or any role.
Yeah, awesome. And just to add on to that, mate, I've got a good follow-up question from Sharon. Could you also mention the cultural environment for females working on site and out in the field in such a male-dominated industry?
Yeah, it's a good question. Now we're trying to do as much work as we can just to make the environment as safe as possible, make it as inclusive as possible. Obviously, we know that there is a big gap between males and females on site at the moment, and we are doing everything we can to bridge that gap. But making sure that you're working with individuals, maybe if you're working with another female that you're close to, can really help you and guide you and support you and mentor you while you're on site as well. You've obviously got supervisors, you've got HR, so you've got different members of staff that are always there to help you. But if we keep training the male workforce, and educating people, and eventually people are willing to work with everyone. I think whether it's gender, race, whatever the background is, people are more accepting, and we're all in. I think if everyone follows the business and the company ethos, we're all in this together. We all work as one team. We shouldn't let anything sort of come in the way of that.
Yeah, nice, mate. So good to hear. Anything to quickly add on to that, James?
No, I think just bridging that gap and being strong. It's definitely, I think if there is a problem, then I think it's their problem, not your problem. We've all got to be acceptive of everyone who's involved. So we've got to listen to everyone.
Yeah, and I think if you do work on site, or if you work in an environment that's not conducive to those, really speak up about it. Don't be afraid that it could affect your career or anything like that. Speak to someone, speak to your manager, speak to a supervisor, because I think the more silent we are, then the more there's an issue. We need to really be able to share that experience and find a solution to it.
Yeah. So good, so true as well. Awesome. Oh, in the interest of time, I saw a lot of good questions come in. So if everyone, if I don't get to answer your question, feel free to hold on to them and start to ask the different exhibitors, or go into check out down at Beca booth during the rest of the hour and a half today. But Antonio, James, absolute pleasure to have you both on the panel.
Yep.
Awesome discussion and great to meet both of you. Sure a lot of students would have got plenty out of that as well. So yeah, thanks so much for jumping on. It's also worth noting for the students to go back to the homepage where you found this panel session and start exploring the exhibitors from there, either there or check your inbox in terms of the registration form that you submitted, and you can start exploring exhibitors that way as well. But yeah, again, thanks so much for jumping on the session, both of you, and I hope you have a great day.
Thanks, everyone.